Welcome to Wild, Women in Lending Determined to Make an Impact. I'm your host, Robyn LaVassaur. They say our biggest fear isn't being inadequate. It's being powerful beyond measure. In this podcast, I will share how to break through imaginary ceilings, lean into success, discovering your purpose, and understanding how to create the business and life of your dreams. From failures to triumphs and all the tactics in between, let's jump into the wild arena together. Welcome to Wild with Robyn LaVassaur. I am so excited to share with you guys today. I actually just came off, I don't know when this will actually air, but I just came off a trip to Nashville, Tennessee. And I have to tell you, this morning on our sales call, we talked a whole bunch around what's the difference in the artists that make it big and the ones that don't. So if you've been to Nashville, Tennessee, it's my first time. What a great place to just kind of see. I think it's one of those that you have to experience, especially if you love music in general, but country music. It's a worthwhile venture. So I will relate this back to mortgage, I promise. When we showed up, I realized that every single day there are artists who have moved, kind of dropped everything and said, I'm going to bet on me and I'm going to follow my passion, right? My purpose. And I'm going to go do music and see if I can get the big break in their career. And it's super interesting to see all of those artists perform. So I was there for a few days in a row and so got to see a multiple artists. And I realized, hey, this is no different than the sales that we are in. The sales that we are in terms of mortgage. First of all, passion. Someone who genuinely loves the music. It is undeniable. It's undeniable the people that are there going through the motions versus, and they're still talented, they're still incredibly good, versus the people that are literally grinning ear to ear, enjoying every bit of the process, even though they aren't on the main stage yet, right? They're one of the artists in the crowd, in the bar, if you will. So think about that for a minute. The passion itself is absolutely visible, contagious. You know when it's there, when someone's really enjoying it. Other thing is, you think about, and a loan officer brought this up to me this morning as we were talking through it, and she said, I bet they had to get very used to rejection. And I'm hoping you write these things down. First of all, where's your passion level when it comes to the work that you get to do every single day? The second is, how do you deal with rejection? Do you already know it's part of the role, right? Do you already know it's just a piece to the puzzle that you absolutely are going to have to deal with forever and ever and ever because it comes with it? I think a lot of people don't deal with rejection at a very high level. And the moment they feel it, they actually decide to shrink instead of lean in, right? Get even bigger. And so I know that I was guilty of that in my career. The fear of rejection alone prevented me from picking up the phone, prevented me from leaning in, prevented me from maybe doing the proper follow-ups, lots of things like that, that when you feel vulnerable, which is really rejection is very vulnerable, right? When you're putting yourself out there knowing it could go yes or no, how many times do you have to do that? Now, some people get really lucky, right? They get very little rejection. There was a young man that performed and opened up for a headliner, and he's all of 24 years old, and he was second back from the headliner, which means he's really basically made it and will likely be a headliner in the future. 24 and came to that town. Now, I watched other people that were well into their 30s, probably 40s, performing, still waiting for that break. Here's what I can tell you. The belief that 24-year-old had in himself, the belief and the conviction in how big he was dreaming was so obvious. And maybe it's because he was young and inexperienced and maybe not tarnished by anything, but the pure energy level that he brought to the stage was something that just blew all of our minds. And even if you didn't like his music or know his music, by the end, you couldn't help but love and remember him. Think about that in your business. How many rooms have you been in? How many opportunities have you had in a crowd, whether it is a personal or professional setting, where you simply were not willing to be memorable enough, where you simply weren't willing to be engaging enough, when nobody could feel a single ounce of passion from you or distaste, right? They simply felt indifference, and indifference is a very dangerous place to be. I think I saw a lot of artists that I hardly remember anything about this last week that were indifferent to what they were doing. And then there was some that were passionate, that still had a belief and a hope and a discipline and an overall a desire, if you will, to deliver a great show, right? To engage with the audience. And so the ones that were memorable, I think about some other things. So yes, dealing with rejection. Yes, for sure, having passion. What else? What else was there? I'll tell you what, their interaction with the audience, and not just their interaction during the show, but then even after. We had this young man come and sit with us afterwards, and we had put in a couple requests. He was asking for requests. Oh, how many of us need to simply ask for what we want? So he was trying to play some songs. He wasn't getting a lot of engagement from the audience. So he paused and said, I'm going to ask for some requests. What is that? He's saying, tell me what you want. Tell me what you want to hear, and I'm going to play it for you. I'm going to serve you. How many of us could do a better job at serving people at a higher level? Asking the questions, right? I'm here performing and you're not giving me anything back. Maybe I'm making this too much about me. Maybe I need to focus a little more on you. That's exactly what he did. And I thought, what a powerful thing. By the end, we all felt like we were friends with him, even though he was on stage, the group that I was with. And afterwards, he didn't just walk off that stage. He didn't go get himself a drink of water and leave. He didn't head out the back door. He literally got up and came over and sat down at our booth and literally asked us a whole bunch of questions about us and then told us a whole bunch about his journey. And as he was storytelling, I realized that was one of the magic pieces to the artists that I remember the most, the ones that told the stories, the ones that hardly spoke, simply sang, stayed in their own zone, if you will, never really engaged, didn't take a whole bunch of interest in the audience, asking good questions, and ultimately, as talented as they were, you didn't feel their passion. I don't really remember them. I can visualize some of their faces, but I don't know their names. Which one are you? Which one are you with your realtor partners and with your clients? Which one are you in your day-to-day life? Can people feel your energy and your passion? Even if you're an introvert, right? Can people feel your heart? Do people know what you're there to do and that you love doing it and that you really are interested in how to deliver that to them? Now I know music is very universal and mortgage is a little touchier subject, but if we're really being honest, if we were not afraid of rejection, if we showed up passionate to work every single day, if we recognize that when we focus on them instead of us, how many times have we thought to ourselves, I wonder if I'm going to get this deal. I wonder if they're going to take my pre-approval letter. I wonder if they're going to accept my interest rate. I wonder if they liked me. I'm going to tell them this. I'm going to do that. Man, what a difference, right? When you're an artist who's all about yourself. We're all artists in our own way, right? So we have that, what is that Subway commercial where they were like, it's sandwich art, right? There's a whole bunch of art being involved. We're all artists, right? Mortgage artists, if you will, strategic, hopefully passionate, knowledgeable, all of those things. And I hope this is landing with you in terms of the correlation, but it is so incredibly important. And then here's what's really interesting. Every single one of those artists, all the way back to, you think about it, whether it be Johnny Cash or Elvis Presley or Garth Brooks or you name it in that country scene, if you will, but music in general, celebrities in general, and they got a big break. They got a big break, and the timing was different for all of them. But I guarantee you the belief, the desire, the process, the rejection, the learning, the growth, the hard work, all of it was the same for every single one of them. I guarantee you that. And then one day, one moment, one show, one conversation, maybe even without singing, there was somebody watching and the spark happened, right? That spark happened. And so think about that for a minute. When has that happened in your career? Has it yet? Have you landed that one agent? And I think sometimes we think like, oh, that's like the biggest whale in town. Not always, you guys. Maybe it's an agent, maybe it's a client relationship, right? I had a beautiful client relationship where I cannot tell you how many family members and people, I actually have multiple of these, I've gotten to help from that one person, right? The one maybe dentist office or orthodontist or hairdresser that literally loves you, you love them, and all of a sudden there's this spark and they're referring the crud out of you and you're referring back, and it's just this great, great moment. Did that this morning for a group, and we had a loan officer, and he said, I've been doing pop buys for probably 5 or 6 pop buys to this one realtor, and I had messaged them and said, hey, I put a watermelon, but your office was locked on your front steps, and I wanted to make sure you knew so that you could get it. So he messaged. He didn't just leave it. Oh, that's like coming and walking off the stage, right? He didn't just leave it. He messaged and said, I put a watermelon there. I want to make sure you knew so that it didn't sit and go to waste. They went and got it. Then they said they got it, thank you. Then he followed up. Are you enjoying it? They said they enjoyed it with their family, so he stayed engaged. And that account for him is literally closing 6 to 10 deals a year as of now. He's had them for a couple of years now, and he's pretty much their exclusive on buyer sites. So we did the math this morning, and I love to put some logic with feeling, right? And we did the math, and I said, hey, let's on average, and I'm being so conservative on you guys, on the numbers here, you guys, that one account probably earns him somewhere between $2,500 and $3,500 on average a month in income. One account where the magic happens. Think about that. One person listening, and all of a sudden you get a break to go to the bigger stage. One person listening, and all of a sudden they're recording your music that you wrote. Just one, but that one leads to more opportunity, right? That one leads to more influences, more contracts in our world, right? More opportunity to knock it out of the park with a listing agent, more opportunity to meet more sellers, to interact with more escrow officers. But that one opportunity feels like this huge break. I always attribute that to, ironically, I hope I don't lose you here on a little bit of a sideline, but I think about the night that I met my husband and how different life would have been if he and I wouldn't have met that one night and that one moment, and how crazy life is. But you have to be constantly looking for the moments. You have to be constantly aware of living life at the fullest level, right? And that doesn't mean you don't rest and you don't, have peace and those kind of things. It just means showing up so big, so passionately, being willing to see that everything can hold an opportunity in it, right? Never missing those things. Delivering, engaging, making it about somebody else instead of yourself, asking great questions, being willing to share a story about you that lands, right? That hits home, that talks about why your heart is involved in what it's involved in. All of those things, you guys, and some more, are tactics that I promise you will blow up your business, and not just your business, but your life. We'll see you soon. If this episode helped you, I hope that you will share the Wild podcast with people in and out of mortgage lending, and hopefully gain something from this as well. Thanks for joining.